Is this patch bringing us right back into a Deadlock gun meta? Let's twitch into it. Howdy Twitchies, and welcome to your Deadlock patch review. This is for the patch that we just had here on November 21st. I am not going to go over every single patch note line by line. If you would like to read over it all, you can of course pause the video, or I will put a link to the actual patch notes in the description down below with all the other good stuff. So starting off here, guys, we've got a little bit of a trooper rework. The TLDR on this is not only when you kill the mob are you going to have that little secure orb, but you actually got to go pick it up, which means that you have to actually be fairly close to the minions in order to get credit for those souls. So if you're getting, say, pushed to your guardian, you don't actually want to clear the minions out by like the bridge if you're in mid, because when you're back at your tower, you're actually not going to get credit flows because you have to walk all the way up to go get them. So you really want to let the minions come to you or be the team pushing. So far, this has had a massive effect on teams that are pushing lanes, being able to get more souls, leading to more snowball. So keep an eye out for that. Also, they've changed the medic troops. TLDR on the medic is beforehand, the medic was the very first minion that you wanted to kill in order to get rid of the enemy team's healing. Now it's actually grabbing that healing for you, so you actually preferably would want to kill that minion last in order to get the biggest value out of that heal for yourself. Starting souls have been changed from 400 to 600. Basically means after the first wave, you're grabbing your first item. Trooper bounty values have also been changed. The big thing with these trooper value changes is you're going to see here, particularly for two-man splitting, 0.65 to 0.54. This means that if you split with two people, you're barely getting any more souls than if one person got it. Compared to beforehand, you were generating a significant amount more souls. This is leading to kind of the haves and have-nots, and it's things like carries getting a lot of farm, and now supports are falling behind because they can't keep up because splitting waves is not nearly efficient as it was. Also, you're going to see a bunch of changes here to neutral camps. In general, neutral camps are now tankier, but they give even more XP. Once again, this is transitioning Deadlock into a little bit more of the haves and have-nots. If you're a character that's building, say, Tesla bullets and cultists and stuff, and you're a character that can clear really fast, this is good for you because you're actually getting even more value out of these neutral camps. As before, waves are still more important than those neutral camps, but something like a cultist, the value has gone up even more because you slay that big minion and you're getting even more XP out of these values. In general, all those camps also fighting back a little bit harder, doing a little bit more damage, even the Sinner Sacrifice returning a little bit more damage to you. But in general, if you can farm really fast, the wave and the camps, your farm right now is going super crazy. On to the next section, all AP damage upgrades have been reduced by 10%. Basically, all gun damage across the board was increased by 10%, and the headshot multiplier was reduced. Basically, this means that just like hitting body shots is a little bit more valuable. There's a little bit less emphasis placed on getting headshots kind of in those 1v1s. Also, in general, you're seeing a massive shift into a gun meta right now, like not even close. We basically went from a meta where I would say the meta was like to have 4 spirit characters, 2 gun, to right now, arguably 5 gun, 1 spirit is probably the meta, which I personally think is bad for the game. I think the game should always lean spirit heavy because there's a lot more spirit damage potential in the game, and there's a lot less viable gun building characters. So I do think that it's less healthy for the game overall. But on top of this, you're actually seeing a massive change to builds right now. So what you need to know is that the 4,800 souls spent marker is now insanely valuable for weapon vitality and spirit. And you're going to see a lot of builds shifting to getting to that 4,800 soul point as fast as humanly possible before then investing the rest of the build into gun. So you're going to see a lot of people grab a 3,200 and a 1,600 item in that vitality and spirit because you get a massive boon when you get to 4,800, and then the rest of the investment in gun because gun is scaling so much better than vitality and spirit right now. Next up, wall jumps now cost stamina, so this is actually just a big nerf to Characters that only have 2 stam, you basically can't do a little jump dash into a wall jump. Kind of a bummer, but honestly just removing a little bit of the movement tech from the game, just ever so slightly. But once you get that 3rd stamina, not so big of a deal. This entire section is to say that walkers are a lot tankier. They're a lot harder to, say, split push kill. But when you're pushing as a team, walkers right now are kind of big babies. They're super easy to just avoid all of the attacks in general. So beforehand, where you had to be kind of really worried about like getting hit by the fireball and the stomps and stuff, nowadays the walkers are much less susceptible to getting pushed by just one individual person. So the split push is down heavily, but the ability for a team to go and push a walker is so much easier than it was in the previous patch, because the walkers are kind of just like standing bullet sponges more so than they are like outputting actual damage and CC and stuff, because everything that they do is so much more predictable. Plus you've got these little circles now to know exactly where to stand for the walkers. You get 9 slots now instead of 8, and the ease of how you get your slots now for your flexes is super easy. Kill a walker, get a flex slot. Super duper easy. No more like memorizing, okay, 3 guardians, 1 walker, all the walkers, all that stuff. Nope, doesn't matter. You start off with 9 out of your 12 slots now, and you get your last 3 by getting rid of the 3 walkers. Super easy peasy. On top of that, we've got the mid-boss. Mid-boss has gotten buffed in the HP. But because there's so much more gun damage, I would actually say that the mid-boss, even though it got tankier, is actually dying faster than it was in the previous patch, because there's so much more gun damage, and gun damage obviously just kills objectives so much more faster than spirit damage does. Small changes to the soul urn, honestly, not that big of a deal there. The jump pad window stun has been increased. Once again, not that big of a deal there. This is a decent change. Subsequent CC reduction. So for those that don't know, Deadlock does have diminishing returns in it, aka when you get hit by a CC within the next couple of seconds, the next CC doesn't stun you for as long, so they just increase that by a little bit. Buffs to the mid/late game buffs in general, those bridge buffs that spawn. In general, the later on in the game, those buffs are going to be even a little bit stronger, and you're going to have troopers getting stuck less around the map. So, into all of these item changes, for the most part, you're going to see little proc damages reduced, like Mystic Shot from 45 to 40. Headshot Booster got the cooldown increase from 8 to 9. So a little bit less proc damage across the board. You're going to see massive reductions to CDR. The changes to Spirit in this patch, basically gun got buffed and then cooldown got nerfed pretty hard, which means that spirit characters in this patch have received a pretty bad double blow here. Headshot into a kidney blow. You're seeing so many less spirit damage characters getting played. I would suspect that you're going to see quite a bit of undoing of a lot of the spirit nerfs this patch. If they wanted to buff the gun, maybe that's one thing, but the combination of the buffing of the gun and the nerfing of various spirit aspects across the board, I think most people would agree right now is a little bit overtuned. On top of that, Express Shot, a little bit of damage reduction across the board. Like I said, a lot of the proc damage getting nerfed. Nothing too crazy here. You're going to see like Tesla bullets shock getting reduced a little bit, but if you're playing like an Ivy or a Wraith, no big deal, ain't no big thing. You're still going to be building that all the time. Not a ton of crazy item nerfs to something that I wouldn't buy anymore. Spirit Shielding is getting the threshold increased and the duration reduced a little bit. Like the shields in general aren't as strong. Reactive Barrier, probably the biggest loser here, going to a 40-second cooldown, so characters like Bebop and Haze getting a lot of value out of that. Although, admittingly, Haze is gone from being like a pretty fine character to like absolutely busted with all the gun changes anyway. So that on top of the fact that the reactive barrier is less, so she's going to be hitting you with that dagger. A lot of Haze problems right now. Notable change here to Silence Wave and Focus Lens. Silence Wave no longer upgrades from Spirit Sap. It no longer reduces Spirit Resistance or Spirit Power, and it now does some impact damage. So a bit of an item rework right there. And then Focus Lens actually now builds from Spirit Sap and reduces the Spirit Resistance and reduces Spirit Power. So a little bit of an item swap there. And then Curse now dispels buffs. They took that off of Capacitor, and that now is on Curse, which has a longer cooldown, and they reduce the weapon damage on it. So just a little bit of item shifting here. Like one item that used to do one thing is kind of now put onto a different item. But honestly, for the most part, if you were building an item beforehand, chances are you're still building it. The biggest change with the itemization is that in this patch is that beforehand, if you were a gun character, you basically weren't building any spirit items unless it was like a some sort of like, you know, slowing hex, something like that gave you like a little CC value, right? Or like a bullet shredder that gave you some sort of like extra damage on your gun. But now a lot of characters, almost every character wants to get to that 4.8k value in order to get the massive buff. If you haven't seen it, there's a little star symbol now in the bottom left-hand corner when you look at your bars. Look at how much value you get from getting to 4.8k. For Vitality, it is literally doubling every single point value you've gotten before it. For Gun and Spirit, it's even more than doubling all of the investment up until that point. So getting to that 4.8k is the biggest change with the items this patch. Into the hero changes, Abrams largely the same from a meta perspective. Bebop getting like nerf buffs. He moves really fast now with this tier 3 change to on cast +5 movement speed for 3 seconds. Honestly, I think the bigger buff to Bebop is that reactive barrier and spirit barrier both got nerfed. So that's actually nice for Bebop. He got a buff there, and to be honest, he was already doing well. Billy, I haven't seen a lot of yet, but I actually do think that with the increase in gun damage and the increase in his RAM tier 2, giving him an extra 10% on that bullet damage, I actually think that gun Billy could be a problem. Calico seems to be one of the spirit characters right now that is doing the best. Calico was really strong in this previous patch and does not seem to be as affected by the spirit nerfs as other characters because her cooldowns are still so low, even with some of these nerfs here. In the cooldown reduction across the board, she still seems to be doing just fine and dandy. Doorman, I think, got hit pretty hard by this patch. In general, he's doing less damage, and the CDR nerfs are hurting him. Drifter seems to be one of the best heroes in the game right now. His base regen is super strong, although Drifter did get a small nerf that we're going to see at the very end of the patch. They did a kind of a bonus balance, if you will, quickly off of the day 1 patch. But so far, everything that we've said is basically still true. Dynamo a little bit stronger with his kinetic pulses, but I don't think he's enjoying the transition into the gun meta as much. Holiday actually getting a massive gun nerf right here before the gun balance changes. So I probably think that gun Holiday is still generically better than Spirit Holiday with all the changes that they've made. But Holiday actually did get a nerf, which is nice because otherwise she would have been probably the best character in the game with the changes, because early laning phase in general right now, very, very strong. Gun characters in general, very, very strong. Expect to see characters like Drifter, Mirage, Haze, like those kind of characters doing really well right now. Infernus still doing insanely well right now. Basically avoided massive nerfs somehow. Infernus can basically, you know, the bullet damage build on Infernus where he gets like duration extender for his bleeds and then builds gun damage? That basically got buffed because now you get that 4.8k bonus on the spirit and the vitality, and then you can go super hard into the gun right now. So somehow Infernus got buffed from all this. Ivy getting spirit nerfs kind of across the board, but not getting a lot of gun nerfs here. So while Ivy's split push has been reduced because split pushing in general is just much harder, I actually don't think that Ivy saw significant reductions here in the areas that they're going to be strong in. Gun Ivy still very strong. Kelvin did finally receive a pretty gnarly nerf. His bullet velocity got reduced. Grenade base damage got reduced. Frozen Shelter cooldown got absolutely decimated on top of cooldown for spirit characters getting decimated. So while Kelvin is an interesting one as well, because you may not know this, but Kelvin, while being an extraordinarily high value competitive pick target, actually was like a bottom 3 win rate after his last set of nerfs in Eternus. And I am of the opinion, and this might be unpopular, but I'm of the opinion that organized play should not factor into your balancing at all in a game that is in an alpha without an official pro scene. Once there's an official pro scene, I do think that the opinion of the pros matters a lot. But before there's any official like Valve sanctioned stuff, I don't think that organized play should have any effect on balancing. And I do think that like Eternus lobbies should be more of the high-end gameplay that you're balancing around. So I actually do wonder with Kelvin if this is going to take him out of the meta entirely. Even though like a very good Kelvin was still doing really good, I almost wonder if there's like a design problem where Kelvin was having an issue like Shiv, where like Shiv's win rate hasn't been that good even in Eternus for a long time. But when you play against like a top 10 Shiv player, all of a sudden it seems like the most busted character in the game. So I almost wonder if there's just a design problem there. Lash getting buffs basically across the board. Unfortunately, those are mostly counteracted by the nerfs to Spirit in general. So I would say that Lash probably comes out of this patch neutral compared to a lot of Spirit characters that basically got nerfed. Lady Geist, Soul Exchange radius got increased. I'm not so sure how Lady Geist is going to do in this patch, honestly. Mina getting nerfs across the board, plus Spirit got nerfed across the board, so she should be less of a problem. McGinnis coming out about neutral in this patch should actually be decent with the changes to gun, being able to get a really big gun build going, and maybe one of the characters that can still viably split push because of her heal and her kit. Mirage, maybe the biggest winner of this patch. His build, like a QSR Surge of Power build for the attack speed, gives you to that 4.8k value. Then you can grab yourself a couple of green items and go full gun. Mirage already had an insanely strong early game. Now it is even stronger. Plus he got some buffs on top of that. There's an argument that Mirage is one of the best heroes in the game now, even if his win rate won't end up reflecting it potentially. Paige basically getting nerfs across the board. They nerfed her bullet damage, so bullet Paige might be dead now. I'm not 100% sure. Haven't seen anybody try it yet since the patch. And then nerfing her shield across the board. That is totally fair. Paige's shield was arguably the best regular ability in the game, and it's still honestly very good. Paradox getting nerfs as well. Paradox was doing very, very well for a long time, so he's going to get nerfed again for the 40,000th time. Honestly, because gun items got buffed, Paradox is still probably fine. Going to need to do some more playing on him to see how it goes. Pocket, the biggest loser in this patch. For some reason, they decided to nerf Pocket's damage base while and his regen, and nerf Spirit items and cooldown across the board. So their Pocket is honestly probably going to be pretty low on the meta list right now. I think that this is going to be kind of the death knell for him. 7 doing totally fine right now. Absolutely no problems for 7. He can actually probably do like something like a Mirage, get like a QSR Surge of Power kind of going off of his 3 kind of thing, and then do a gun build and just kind of like W-key at people, honestly. Shiv getting nerfs. We'll have to see how Shiv does in this patch, but Spirit Shiv was really the problem, not so much a gun Shiv. With the nerfs that Shiv got right here, plus with the nerfs to Spirit, I actually wonder if he's going to be viable, but somehow Shiv always finds a way to be OP. We are in a very group up death ball meta right now, and Shiv likes that. Just group up with the team. You're having 5v5 team fights starting super early in the matches, which leads to more opportunities to get off your ultimate. So maybe the fact that we're in a death ball meta just makes Shiv OP by the fact that his ultimate is so easy to use and so strong. Sinclair getting nerfed on top of the fact that he got the Spirit nerfs, so that's going to hurt him, although he does have the Spectral total swaps allowed increase from 1 to 2. I'm actually not 100% sure what that means. I don't know if that means he can switch to it and then back. I haven't seen a Sinclair since the patch, so that could be seemingly very just an annoying buff if that's the case. If you can swap to it and then back, I don't know how you're ever going to catch the damn guy without 1,000 slowing hexes. Viscous getting nerfed across the board in this patch. Larger cooldowns. Express Shot got nerfed. Mystic Shot got nerfed. His cube is kind of getting nerfed. So Viscous nerfs across the board, really aimed at that high-level play. Viscous, another character that I'm concerned about. Lower-level players, basically Viscous is useless, but at the very high-end gameplay, his burst combo was so strong, it's kind of hard to balance around. Finally, we got a Warden buff here. Warden getting extra bullet damage. in a patch where bullet damage went up. Wraith, for some reason, getting more card trick base damage in a meta that she was already doing super well. I am concerned in general for this patch. I haven't played enough on it to have super strong opinions, so over this next week, we'll be able to formulate more informed opinions. But like going right into a gun patch and then like buffing a character like Wraith, who, to be clear, was already doing really well. She loses her ability to split push, sure, but her farm ability should be even better. And then Yamato getting a nerf, which makes sense. But Yamato, once again, nerf on her power slash in combination with all the spirit nerfs might be too much. And then here's the kind of little bonus balance section. So they already reduced the gun base damage by 5%. Because gun was doing so well. They reduced the medic pack missing health, so that's when you kill the enemy healing minion. Stamina regen was returned to normal. They made even more farm off of the neutral bounties, and then Warden got a little bit of a growth damage boon reduction, and Drifter got a little bit of a health reduction because they were doing so well. So big TLDR with this patch. Gun builds and characters are in. Spirit builds and characters, for the most part, are out. Hyper farmers are in with their ability to get even more farm off of neutral camps. Early laning phasers are incredibly strong right now. If you win the lane, Deadlock went from a game where winning lane was not everything to a patch where I bet you my dollars against your dollars that winning laning phase very strongly correlates with winning the game. It very well might come down to like if 2 out of 3 of your lanes win the game or you win the game. It's looking to be in that direction because the quicker you win the lane right now, you're going to have a lot of souls because you're denying souls via the enemy team being unable to pick them up a lot of the time. The neutral camps are giving even more farm, and then you quickly get into that death ball state as a team, which is turned into the meta. So look out for all of that kind of stuff, guys. We'll be playing, of course, on stream all this week and getting a bunch more information and kind of learning on the fly, and who knows, Deadlock might even do some more, hotfix patches and all that good stuff. But thank you guys for coming out to the video. I do appreciate it. Make sure to like and comment below to support the Twitchiest community and help us out through sponsors like people like Cook Unity and Dark Epoch down in the description down below. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, folks, have a twitching day, y'all.